Pranayakadanaganam Sattvakallan Gunanabhasha Vande Gurasricharanarabindam Vande Gurasricharanarabindam Vande Gurasricharanarabindam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone from Eastern Canada. It is 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:02, and it's daylight savings time, so the clocks went back an hour for us here. And there may be changes where our audience is attending, and there may be some hiccups in the attendance because of daylight savings time, but nonetheless, we'll carry on. And you can revisit our site, Hare Krishna Society, on YouTube, if you do miss any of our programs that are evolving. Yes, they are. We've been evolving these programs over the last few years through practice. You practice what you preach, and you also practice what you do. And Prabhupada stressed that for all of us, to practice devotional service every day that you're alive. And he gave us so many wonderful instructions about how to practice Krishna consciousness in his letters. Yes, Prabhupada's letters. There's thousands and thousands of them. And we've been reading from the letters in our opening sections now of the program. And we're going to go to letters, some comments. I sent quite a few to Rupesh today. And I was thinking, Rupesh, what we could do is go down on the letter. Let's see if I can get it up on my phone here. These I sent a long letter to in regards to Sridhar Swami. And at this particular juncture of the letter, I didn't read this the other day, but I thought we should go over it. This is my instruction to you all. So Prabhupada speaking to us all. Now someone may interpret that to say, all but me. That's a very interesting, deviant way to think. But most people in the Kali Yuga, they do think deviantly. Prabhupada mentions about his God brothers. They cannot help us in our movement, but they are very competent to harm are natural progress. So we must be very careful about them. Students who are not making this political program must be fixed in one point, that human society, unless divided into the 4 classes and divisions, is animal society. Have you got that, Prabhu? Go down a bit more, I think. Yes. Among the animals, there is no intelligence for self-realization or how to make life successful in human life. Intelligence is better than animals, therefore, they should know what is the aim of life, and to educate society, there's a whole Vedic literature of which the Bhagavad Gita is the quintessence. The Supreme Personality of ideal of the whole society. Okay. If the whole society is full of rogues, thieves, drunkards, cheaters, and demons, where is the question of decent government? There must be divisions so the lower class may aspire. So far, we are concerned, we are trying to train first-class men. How much great responsibility we have to follow regulated principles, chant the beads, live with personal character. Regulated principles means to especially execute devotional service in terms of, let me see here, terms of the revealed scriptures under the direction of the spiritual master. Yes, that's His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. By fulfilling the regulated principles, you come to spontaneous love for Krishna is there already, but covered by the influence of Maya. The regulated principles are a device how to overcome the influence of spontaneous love of Krishna. If we want to exist as first-class men in society, all our students must be induced to follow the regulated principles. One shouldn't think artificially he has come to the spontaneous platform. That is Sahajism. I had a situation where one of my godbrothers was telling me, oh, you don't have to chant your rounds. You've been a devotee for so long that you can just do what you want and you'll be fine. You should become a Diksha Guru. The GBC must be vigilant by following the regulated principles, which a lot of them haven't, and teach by ideal character the presidents of the centers, and the presidents by their ideal character must teach the others. Then automatically all members of the whole institution will ideal to the human society. Then we can dictate to administrators or His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Sometimes take hold of the administration. This is kind of mumbo jumbo here on my phone. I'm having to read there. Let me see. In the absence of competent leaders, we must take the post, but we must be very careful in the absence of, very careful of the political movements. We may not forget our ideal life. For example, Parasham was a Brahmin, and when he found the Kshatriyas were mismanaging, he killed them 21 times, and some of them fled to European countries. This is their history. So far we are concerned, we shall keep ourselves in ideal Brahminical position, and if need be, no Kshatriya or Vaishya is here, we can take up their work as emergency. Our business is to create, excuse me, I'm missing it here. I'm having problems with these new glasses. Our business is to keep ideal, thank you, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, but beyond that, our real business is to keep ourselves as ideal Brahmins. If we are not ideal, we cannot create others as ideal. Training is required for the first, second, and third classes of social constitution. Persons who are not fit for being advanced by training are Sudras or less than that. At present, the moment in the world state, there are Sudras and less than that. There are no ideal Brahmins or Kshatriyas. But these four divisions are imperative. So our business is to keep fit as Brahmins and to train others to be ideal Kshatriyas and Vaishyas for advancing the whole society. So it's personal development that Prabhupada's stressing here of each individual member of his organization. This is something that the ISKCON leadership these days has not taught its students, not by practical practice or by vocal explanation. As Krishna says in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, scroll down please. Tamal Krishna is going to Los Angeles. I should give him instructions to join Madhavisa Swami, Bali Ramaran, Mardan, and Jayatirtha and reform the deficiencies. As soon as there's a little deficiency, we must repair it or it will create a big hole and the ship will drown, like ISKCON has. Yet they compromise. So I have said, keep fit. I saw this Vrindavan Chandra and Prajapati as a little sentimental without thoroughly understanding. Without following the regulative principles, advancement is doubtful, and one may fall at any moment, like Giriraj. As for drugs, not just one party, but everyone was involved. Our process is to reform. Everyone is under the clutches of Maya. If we follow the regulative principles, we can get out and come to spontaneous love. A diseased man is always under the clutches of disease, but if he follows the prescribed orders given by he can be cured. Now, how to reform? If we ask him to go away, the whole society will be finished. In the hospital, many patients are there, and the attempt is made to cure them, not to tell them to go away or to kill them. They try their best to cure them. If they can tell them to get out of the hospital or kill them, that is easy. That's very interesting. In ISKCON, if you didn't agree with them, they may have done that. They did. Initiation should be given as a future hope, but we should be very careful about the second initiation. As recommended by the president or GBC, they should only do so when they are quite confident of a man. Otherwise, he should not be recommended. If you follow this principle, it will be successful. Every day I'm getting requests for second initiation, but I do not know. The responsibility goes to the presidents who picked them. Unless they are thoroughly convinced, second initiation should not be given. In the beginning, we may be a little lenient, but if someone falls down after being initiated, he should not be credited with second initiation. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. I have another section here that I sent to Rupesh. Maybe we could go to it. We've got a little bit more time. It's only 11:14. Rupesh, do you have that second section on further discussion about association with Prabhupada's godbrothers? How he's instructing us not to associate with them. So this particular first section of this letter is talking about maintaining higher standards of personal discipline by all the members, and it should be given by the example of the GBC and given by example of the local president, who would be in charge of giving the initiation. Rupesh, do you have the other letters? Let's see what we've got here. I'll try to get there.
Deborah J.
Oh, Krishna, help me. So many people buzzing me. People are attracted by Westerners coming to the Mat. So if we're up at the Mat, any of us, and they say, just see, they say in Bengali, just see. They are coming to see my Guru Maharaj. They are coming. That's Bhavananda speaking. Prabhupada, that was the policy of Madhav Maharaj and Sridhar Maharaj, that although Bhaktivedanta Swami is propagating throughout, he is subordinate to us under our instruction. So all these three. Vira Astaka, 1958. Ananta Vāsadeva was the third above mentioned. Your so-called disciple, the jackal named Ananta Vāsudeva, disobeyed your final instructions to keep the mission united, and they created a scandalous fiasco. The result of this philosophical deviation is evident to this day, as imitative sahajias are being worshipped as gurus in your temples. 3, is there a single temple to be found where your instructions are still being followed? As it is said, Punar Musiko Bhava, everyone has become again a mouse. The lion's food has been stolen away by the deceptive tricks of the jackals. Now caught in Maya's mighty clutches, everyone is reduced to wailing and weeping. So, this is, ISKCON is Gaudiya Math Part 2. Prabhupada's explaining it here, what happened with the Gaudiya Math. So someone will say, why is it that you are not in the ISKCON movement? Well, we've left because it's become Gaudiya Math Part 2. At least historically it can be proved, cause of envy of my godbrothers. I was known, although they knew that Prabhupada liked me very much. I was a grihasta, so Prabhupada speaking about himself, I was known as Pacha Grihasta. Pacha Grihasta means a rotten Grihasta. That's what they were calling him. And now they say this Grihasta has come out more than us. What is this? Sridhar Maharaj's chief disciple? Bhavananda Gora, Prabhupada. He always used to say to Sridhar Maharaj that you are feeling Abhibabu as Grihasta, but he is more than many yogis, he was telling. He cannot make any comment. These are facts. 2 parties were there. One party to use Guru as their instrument for self-aggrandizement. And another party left Guru. So both of them are offenders. This Kunja Baba, this Tirtha Maharaj's party, he wanted to enjoy senses through Guru. And the Bhaga Bazar, they left, Tamal Krishna. So both of them are offenders, severe offenders. What about Sridhar Maharaj? Prabhupada, Sridhar Maharaj belonged to the Bhag Bazar party, and I was living aloof. My Guru Maharaj said, he approved, he said. Now this is very significant here, Prabhus, because people have been criticizing us, saying you should never leave ISKCON. They're taking it out of context of what the whole political situation in this Sahajiya group has become. Prabhupada says here, it is better that he is aloof from them. So Bhaktisiddhanta told Prabhupada, and it is better for us if we're aloof from these ISKCON fake gurus. Tamal Krishna, he could understand that his disciples were not Prabhupada. No, he was very sorry at the last stage. He was disgusted. Letter to Gaur Sundara. All along I have been discouraged in every way by my godbrothers, but still I have stuck to my duty, keeping my spiritual master always in front. We'll read one more. My godbrothers always discouraged me, but I did not give up. I'm doing my duty and always keeping my spiritual, even though there is some difficulty or hardship, or even my godbrothers may not cooperate, or there may be fighting, still I must perform my duty to my spiritual master and not become discouraged and go away. That is my weakness. So these are very important instructions on how we should see our situation in dealing with the ISKCON group. And we'll just read a little bit from the diaries. I'm sorry. We're just getting used to this new system of reading these letters of instruction from Śrīla Prabhupada specifically to us. On Saturday, May 28th, 1966, Prabhupada writes in his diaries, sunrise was 4:35 a.m., sunset was 7:19, moonsets was 1:34 Navami. Today, Paul was paid $1 only for expenditure. In the afternoon, there was Sanskrit class and about 10 persons attended. The collection was only $6. One boy paid $6 for the books. He paid total $12. Today, I did not go to the ashram because Carl engaged time on Sunday, 11 a.m. Income was $12, expenditures was $1, and one letter received from the controller of exchange at Delhi. There was an incident extraordinary at 10 o'clock at night when I was typewriting. Paul became too much irritated, Paul Murray. And I stopped typewriting. It was unusual due to his abnormal condition. Better to take precaution in the future. So Prabhupada being threatened by this lowlife who was getting mercy from him. Of course, Prabhupada was attracting all kinds of people to himself. And being new in New York, he was trying his best, despite all difficulty, to carry on. And this is a forewarning, Prabhus, that he's going to move on. Once he detects danger, he'll decide to move on. May 29th, 1966. Keep going. Thank you. Sunrise, 4:35 a.m., sunset, 7:20, moonsets, 2:01 Dashami. There is no expenditure today. Carl came to dine with us. His address is noted. He is informed of last night's incidents, so Prabhupada's telling someone else good. I've told him that I wish to live in a separate apartment. He's trying for that. So there you go. When preaching is not good, go somewhere else. If there's danger, go somewhere else. I gave him about the room, which I have seen in the Chatham Towers, 16th floor. So Prabhupada's looking around. On Monday the 30th, sunrise was 4:34 a.m., sunset was 7:21 p.m. Moonsets was 2:25. Codicy today, Paul was paid $2 for expenditures. Prabhupada's consistent. He's paying his way. He did not purchase all the articles that was ordered to him. I posted one letter to Sripad Tirtha Maharaj regarding seeing the finance ministry in India. So Prabhupada's still trying to engage his godbrothers. The finance minister's letter will be registered tomorrow. In the evening, there was a meeting. About 10 students attended. But the contribution was only $6.12. Mriki brought his tanpura and added it to the tune of Sankirtan. Mr. Goldsmith has agreed to join the International Association for Krishna Consciousness. The income was $6.12 and the expenditure was $2. And on Tuesday, May 31st, 1966, sunrise was 4:34 a.m., sunset was 7:21 p.m., moonrise was 2:25. Dwadasi today, I paid Paul $2 for expenditure, registration to Indian Embassy 80 cents, bitter melon was 15 cents. It was $2.95. In the afternoon, Mr. Robert Nelson came to see me. I requested him to become a member of the association. He agreed and paid $20 for the month of June, 1966. this is deposited in the bank. I inquired for the Chatham Tower. At present, it is not possible to acquire a room there. It is very costly, much a costly affair, but I have a strong desire to acquire a room there. One letter received from the Punjab National Bank, Limited Vrindavan, informing the account number and balance, etc. So expenditures were $2.95. And the income was $20 and a bank deposit of $20. So Prabhupada's moving forward. You're going to see, as we keep reading the diaries, how the pace of his effort changes because of his successful preaching work that starts to manifest itself despite all of these difficulties that were there in his personal life. So never give up, everyone. Follow in the footsteps of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. We're going to move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava by His Divine Grace. And then we'll have the reading and discussion and our panel of Prabhupada Disciples Association review the topics in today's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Chittara Sadasyaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam tato jayam mudirayat. Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyāsadeva, the author, from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the cream of all Vedic scriptures. As we do most of the time during these Sunday reading and discussions, we will be reading a few selected verses. We will be reading a few selected verses from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, describing the meaning and the potency of reading this powerful transcendental literature. This is from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 15. Yadanudhyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho sradadhanasya Vasudeva kataruchihi Syan mahat sevaya vipra punyatirta nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done, and as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Shrinvatam svakataha Krishnaha punyasravana kirtanaha Hridyantasto yabadrani vidunoti surit satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, thus cleanse the desire from material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta prayeshu babadrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chitayeterana viddham stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. We will proceed with our reading. This week we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, text number 36. All English synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Kurvanaya trakarmani bhagavati chaya sakrit grinanti gunanamani Krishnasya anusmaranti cha kurvana. While performing yatra, thereupon, karmani, duties, bhagavat, the personality of Godhead, ichaya, by the will of, sakrit, constantly, grinanti, takes on, guna, qualities, namani, names, Krishnasya, of Krishna, anusmaranti, constantly remembers, cha, and. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. While performing duties in pursuance of the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the performer certainly repeatedly takes into the mind the qualities, names of him, and constantly remembers him. Purport by His Divine Grace. An expert devotee of the Lord can mold his life in such a way that while performing all kinds of duties, either for this or the next life, he can constantly take and remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc., without any stoppage. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita, that one should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. In every sphere of life, the Lord shall be fixed up as the proprietor. According to the Vedic rites, even in the worshiping process of some demigods like Indra, Brahma, Saraswati, Ganesha, the system is that in all circumstances, the representation of Vishnu must be there as the Yajneshvara, or the controlling power of such sacrifices. It is recommended that a particularly named demigod may be worshipped for serving a particular purpose, but still the presence of Vishnu is compulsory in order to make the function properly done. Apart from such Vedic duties, even in our ordinary dealings, also say, for example, in our household affairs, in our business or profession also, we must consider that the result of all such activities must be given over to the Supreme Enjoyer, Lord Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has declared himself as the supreme enjoyer of everything, as the supreme proprietor of every planet, and the supreme friend of all beings. Except Lord Sri Krishna, no one else can claim to be the proprietor of anything within his creation. A pure devotee remembers this constantly, and in doing so, he repeats the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, which means he's constantly in touch with the Lord. The Lord is identical with his name, fame, etc., and therefore to be associated with his name, fame, etc. constantly means actually associating with the Lord. The major portion of our monetary income, not less than 50%, must be spent for the purpose of carrying out the order of Lord Krishna. We should not only give over the profit of our earning to the cause as above mentioned, but also we must arrange for preaching this cult of devotion to others. Because that is also one of the orders of the Lord. On the other hand, the Lord definitely says that nobody is more dear to him than one who is always engaged in the preaching work of the Lord's name, fame, all over the world. The scientific discoveries of the material world can also be equally engaged in the matter of carrying out his order. He wants that message of the Bhagavad Gita shall be preached amongst his devotees, and that it may not be so done amongst those who have no credit of austerities, charity, education, etc. Therefore, the attempt must go on to convert the unwilling men to become his devotees. Lord Chaitanya has taught us a very simple method in this connection. He has taught the lesson for preaching transcendental message through singing, dancing, and refreshment. As such, 50% of our income may be spent up for this purpose. In this fallen age of quarrel and dissension, if only the leading and well-to-do persons of the society agreed to spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord, as it is taught by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is absolute certainty of converting this hell of pandemonium to the transcendental abode of the Lord. Nobody will disagree to partake in a function where good singing, dancing, and refreshment are administered. Everyone will attend such function, and in that auspicious spiritual function, everyone is sure to feel individually about the transcendental presence of the Lord, and this alone will help the attendants associating with the Lord, and thereby purifying oneself in the matter of his spiritual realization. The only condition for successfully executing such spiritual activities is that it must be conducted under the guidance of a pure devotee who is completely free from all sorts of mundane desires, fruitive activities, and dry speculation about the nature of the Lord. Nobody has to discover the nature of the Lord. It is already spoken by the Lord himself in the text of the Bhagavad Gita, especially and in all other Vedic literatures generally. We have simply to accept them in toto and abide by the orders of the Lord. That will guide us to the path of perfection. One can remain in his own position. Nobody has to change his position, especially in this age of variegated difficulties. But only one condition is that he must give up the habit of dry speculation in the matter of becoming one with the Lord. And after giving up such lofty puffed up vanities, one may very submissively receive by oral reception the orders of the Lord, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavata, from the lips of a bona fide devotee whose qualification is mentioned above. That will make everything successful without any doubt. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri-Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandana Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshataham Adadhana Strinam Dantaridam Yachi Punah Punaham Srimad-Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Sadkaromi Svam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In this nice and long purport, Śrīla Prabhupada is describing how to engage in the service of the Lord. In other words, how to understand the transcendental science of Krishna consciousness, practice this transcendental science, and to engage others in the transcendental science, because this is a very important point. There are two basic principles that Prabhupada described. One of them is called Bhajan Anandi, those who practice Krishna consciousness for their own benefit. They do the chanting, they do the hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, but they're not preaching. Another one is called a Goshti Anandi, those who are engaged in practicing Krishna consciousness, the chanting of Hare Krishna, hearing Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and other associated devotional literatures, but who engage in preaching the message under the authority and guidance of the bona fide authorized Acharya like Śrīla Prabhupāda. Now the question may come up, why is it that you two are always using these terms like authorized, bona fide? Because that's a very important point. Because we see nowadays many persons are also engaged in some kind of preaching, some kind of distributing of literature, some kind of kirtan, but many times it is not done according to the authorized standard and guidance given by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Now, this is not meant as a criticism. This is meant as an observation called fact-finding. Why do we say this? Because Prabhupada has given specific instructions of how the chanting, the kirtan, the japa, the deity worship, the offering of bhoga, the distribution of literatures, in other words, the entire system of practicing and preaching Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada has given a lot of instructions. Just in the beginning of the program, Vishwakarma Prabhu was reading various letters from His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda, where Prabhupada was concerned, expressing his concern about what went on in his spiritual master's mission after his departure in 1937. I mean, there are some very powerful statements made by His Divine Grace. It is not that he was criticizing everybody. He was observing what happened, making factual statements, and offering suggestions for rectification. Because we see various kinds of discussions going on the internet, different blogs, Facebooks, different email threads. Different devotees are discussing various issues of concern in the Krishna consciousness movement. In other words, devotees have seen many departures and deviations from the standard established by Śrīla Prabhupada. And why is that? I mean, the instructions are there. It is not that Prabhupada did not give sufficient instructions or guidance. He gave plenty of instruction. He gave plenty of guidance. Prabhupada in one letter has mentioned that I'm always afraid of this great crack of different God brothers who interpreted the words of his Guru Maharaj for their own sense gratification. And the same thing happened in our society. Now, this is a very important point, because you will find that some people will say, oh, you don't live in ISKCON. Well, we were working in ISKCON. We helped to build ISKCON. We sacrificed our lives for Śrīla Prabhupada in ISKCON. We diligently helped to build temples, to build Mayapur, to build the Vrindavan temple, to build the Toronto temple, to engage in Sankirtan. But what happened after Prabhupada departed is the great crack came in of different whimsical interpretations for the sense gratification and the personal aggrandizement of a class of ultra selfish men who were simply interested in their own name, fame, profit, adoration, and distinction. That is the great crack. Śrīla Prabhupada has given so many instructions on everything. And we see now, 46 years later, that so many of these instructions have been disobeyed, have been disregarded. And the result is many devotees were thrown out of the association of devotees. They were kicked out, they were discouraged away, they were sent away. One such foolish person made a comment one time when a devotee in Vrindavan mentioned that many senior devotees are concerned about the way that the entire guru system had been introduced in ISKCON. And that person, one of the original 11, laughed and he says, ha, let them all leave. We've got our own disciples now. Ha, ha, ha. There is nothing to be discussed. We have already discussed everything. That is complete nonsense. Why? Because we see, and this is well known to any devotee that has read Śrīla Prabhupada's books carefully, not superficially, but carefully, that Prabhupada recommended that his disciples, that everybody should read his books and discuss everything from all angles of vision. not this elitist dictatorial mentality that there's nothing to discuss and we, the elite, will discuss everything for you. We will enforce our idea. There's a very interesting conversation that a devotee brought to my attention recently, where Prabhupada said, our philosophy is not that might is right. Our philosophy is that right is might. In other words, to follow properly, that is the real Krishna consciousness movement. And those who do not follow, it doesn't matter which group, which association, which society they belong to, they're not connected with the real ISKCON. It doesn't matter where you, because this question was brought up in Hawaii before Śrīla Prabhupāda, where one follower said, well, some devotees, they chant Hare Krishna, but they don't live in the temple. And Prabhupada says, it doesn't matter if they live in the temple or outside the temple, as long as they follow the principles and chant Hare Krishna, follow the process. But there's a class of men, a class of people who are obsessed with power, with control, with subjugating other people, that never understood the purpose of Krishna consciousness on account of personal motivation. Śrīla Prabhupada gave a very interesting warning in 1970 in one letter to one devotee named Ishan Prabhu. And Prabhupada said, as soon as there is personal motivation, it is not possible to understand our Krishna conscious philosophy. Well, there you have it. Why is it that some of these people do not understand and never got it? Prabhupada has given the answer. It is not complicated. It is not difficult to understand. It is not complicated to understand. The process is simple. For example, I had a conversation in 1981 in Buffalo, New York, with a devotee who brought up this point. Why don't you live in ISKCON? I says, I used to be in ISKCON. Why did they kick us out? Why did they drive us away? Why? I showed him a back-to-God picture of a devotee who was living with his wife and family and children, who was offering arti. He was not living in an ISKCON temple, but yet he was promoted as a good card-carrying member of ISKCON. Another devotee down the street was also following, chanting Hare Krishna, chanting his rounds, doing the program, but he was not considered a bona fide member of ISKCON because he was asking too many embarrassing questions. You see the difference? The difference is called parampara problem. If you just accept everything without questioning, like a blind follower, you're a good card-carrying member of ISKCON. Just like Guyana. This is a cult mentality. That is not the philosophy that Prabhupada gave. That is not the philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And it is not the philosophy that was presented by Krishnadas Kaviraj in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. Siddhanta Balye Nakara Alas. One should not be lazy, Nakara Alas, in discussing Siddhanta, proper conclusion. Why is it that they don't like to discuss their history? Just like the way that Vishwakarma Prabhu was presenting all these quotes about the deviated Gaudiya Math group. Why don't they like to discuss everything from all angles of vision? Because their philosophy cannot stand scrutiny, open discussion, and intelligent discussion with many people. They can't. They can't. We're not fanatical cult members. We're Vaishnava devotees that should be eager to discuss everything from all angles of vision, to whom it may concern. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Thank you. And it is very important that dissension, in other words, people that don't agree with the policy of an institution or organization should be embraced, not rejected because they have a different understanding of this wonderful transcendental philosophy given by Śrīla Prabhupada to all of us. And misinformation is a common practice in this modern world that we live in, very much so. And I thought it was interesting today, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, of the comment that Śrīla Prabhupada mentions in his purport, that there's absolute certainty of converting this hell of pandemonium to the transcendental abode of the Lord. Hell of pandemonium. Very interesting expression that Prabhupada uses to describe the state of affairs back when he was translating this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for preaching in the Western world under the order of his spiritual master. So this was done before he started the ISKCON group. Very interestingly, these same words are even more relevant in 2024. That this world, especially here in the West right now, there is an upcoming election in America. Yes. And it is a great confusion that's going on between two groups of people, the Republicans and the Democrats. And people are afraid. And during these speeches that are taking place, there's so much lying. Truthfulness is gone. And there's fear of world war, pandemonium. There's fear of starvation. There's fear of being killed by foreigners, either migrants or immigrants or by other parties. Actually, throughout the world, there's all kinds of danger. Padam padam vipadam natesham. There's actually danger at every step. So there's war in Gaza between the Jews and the Palestinians. Tragic, very tragic. So many people, innocent people being killed. Initially, the attack by the Palestinians, the Hamas, and the killing of people at a music festival. Naturally, that's going to start a war. And then the abduction of a number, and they're held as hostages. Starts a war. And then so many people being killed. Look in Ukraine. What a tragedy there. The whole country has been destroyed in a certain way. All the infrastructure is being attacked. Who's suffering? The people are. The innocent people are suffering due to collective karma. And this is going on. And wars are going on. Prabhupada describes it. This hell of pandemonium. That's what it is. Look at these platforms in America. One of the main parties, their platform is inclusiveness, that everybody can be whatever they want to be. You know, you can be a man, you can be a woman, you can be an it. This transgender philosophy is becoming popularized by certain groups. And then there's the question of the right of an individual, like a lady, to be able to decide for themselves if they're going to have an abortion or not. What is that? How is that a platform for a political party? This is a platform for discussion by religious leaders, not by politicians. Religious leaders have to guide people when birth takes place. And if a person's entitled to kill a baby within the womb, it's considered to be a great sin. There are many different circumstances surrounding it, and we're not here to discuss this political issue. But the principle of having these as a platform for dealing with becoming a person in charge of a particular government, and especially in America, a government which is very powerful, is a symptom of this pandemonium of hell. This hell. What is hell? A place where you suffer constantly. Birth, death, disease, old age, the miseries caused by other living entities. Oh, yes. The miseries caused by your own body and your own mind. You're so programmed by media. You're so foolish. You're so stupid to listen to them. Prabhupada's recommending here what to do. You should meet. You can convert it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nobody will disagree to partake in a function where good singing, dancing, and refreshments are administered. Yeah. Good singing, the chanting of Hare Krishna, not some hip-hop garbage. Dancing, not some kind of sex dancing on stage to millions of people. That's complete pandemonium of hell. It is. Prabhupada's explaining it here very vividly for us to understand what's wrong. We're in Maya. We're not the body. We're the spirit soul. We're the eternal servant of God, but it's forgotten by the pandemonium of hell. Someone say, well, it's not that bad. Oh, yes, it is. Just talk to people. Most people are insane. They're on the mental platform of speculation, mental concoction. That's what they are. And the more you live in this life, the more you experience it by practicing Krishna consciousness strictly, the more you can see it. You do see it. It's called Vijnanam, realization. You get realization by devotional experience. It's very interesting, Yaśodā-nandana, and thank you for mentioning these two key words, Bhajananandi and Agoshta-anandi. Used to be one of my favorite references back in the 70s when I was president. A lot of people, they're more interested in their own bhajan, their own personal spiritual life. They don't like people. They don't want to help anybody. They just want to help themselves. But Prabhupada never taught us that. He said he wanted us to go out. Prabhupada, I'll read a letter in our next session. Prabhupada says in a letter to me, he goes, it's wonderful that you've got this amazing building. He said in the letter, it's a topmost triumph for Krishna. Yes, it was. In one of the major cities in North America, we bought a church on Avenue Road. It's like the main thoroughfare into Toronto. And he told me in the letter, I want you to erect a sign on both sides of the building because there's 40,000 cars going by that building every day. And you put up the Hare Krishna mantra there and let the people chant. Yes, we did that. We put up the sign. I know the city got mad with us because the sign people forgot to get the permit. You have to have a permit. They forgot to get the permit conveniently. And guess what happened, Krishna Gata? I was at the temple, and all of a sudden one day, a truck pulled up after we had the signs erected on the buildings at the front and back of the temple. It's a big church, 25,000 square feet, a monument. They're called the gateways to Toronto, these two churches. Very, very prominent buildings. And so the sign company came and they put their crane up and they were going to take down the signs. The Prabhupada had ordered me, put these signs up. I got up at the top of the tower. I told them, you come near these signs, I'm going to throw your ladder off the building. You better go away. Don't try this. We'll go to court if we have to, but you don't come here and take our signs. We had paid for them. They brought their ladders down, got in their truck, and drove away. Goodbye. And then we went to court. And when we went to court, my good friend Rick Schechter, who's one of the most prominent lawyers in Canada, Yaśodā knows of him, fought the case and we won it. We won the case. And the signs were allowed to stay on this building, Hare Krishna, to purify the city of Toronto so that people, every time they came by, they could remember the holy name. And in this way, we could help people get out of the pandemonium of hell. Because that's all this world is. It is hell. If you think it isn't, you're in Maya. And what about if you get sick? What about that, Prabhus? When people get sick, what can they do when they get sick? Nothing. When you're sick, that means you go, if you're really sick, you go to the hospital. And what do you do in the hospital? Lie in the bed. And you wait. Just like both Yaśodā and I have had cancer. I had 5 cancer operations in the last 7 years, 5 or 6 years, something like that. And I know what it's like to have cancer. You lie in the bed and you wait till you get a chance to go into the operating room. Do you do anything? Are you out on the street? Are you going shopping? Are you cooking in the kitchen? No. What are you doing? You're lying there, thinking. Fortunately, I had my japa bag with me. I always chanted my rounds in the hospital. I always chanted my rounds every day. I didn't miss. So many times at the hospital. 5 operations where you go under the anesthesia is not fun. It's actually not fun at all. It's quite hellish. But all things must pass, as George Harrison said. All things must pass. Everything goes on. And by the grace of Krishna and Prabhupada, I was cured of my cancer, yes. But it's a hellish condition. So you think that life isn't bad. What if you get sick? You going to be happy? Well, only if you're in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada's mentioning here, nobody will disagree in partaking in a function where there's good singing, dancing, and refreshments are administered. Of course, he taught us the Sunday feast program. That was what we did with the temples. And in the Toronto temple, we had Sunday feast. I gave the Sunday feast lecture for 10 years, every Sunday, pretty much. We have a huge kirtan. Toronto temple was always famous back then for its kirtan. It was authentic kirtan and dancing. Murli Krishna, Trilokanath, Jita Kandarpa, Rodney Mort, I mentioned that in the letter. They sway back and forth in front of the huge altar we built. And we dance and chant. And all the people would become enthralled with the chanting and they'd join in. And there was a sense of transcendental happiness, bliss, and then a beautiful feast after, made with ghee, offered properly to Śrīla Prabhupāda and to the deities. And there was ecstasy in the prasadam, transcendental ecstasy. Not like today's modern day ISKCON group where they cook all kinds of things. Who knows who it's offered to? Who knows what the ingredients are? Who knows who the cooks are? They have to hire cooks, Krishna Katha. They hire cooks for the kitchen in some of the temples. They're not Vaishnavas. They're not Brahmins. Actually, back in the day, you couldn't touch the fire unless you had second initiation. Only Brahmins, initiated as Prabhupada Brahmins, could cook in the kitchen. And in this way, by strictly following this process of Sankirtan, not Bhajananandi, Goshta Anandi, by becoming part of the Sankirtan movement, you could experience bliss. Now, someone could say, you're going out on the street, I'll finish up. You're chanting for 7 or 8 hours. How was it? Well, it was hard, especially in the winter. I can remember one time, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, we were in Winnipeg in the middle of the winter. We went on a Sankirtan party. I was leading up the party. We traveled all the way up northern Ontario. It was freezing. We used to take our bath. Yojapati, Bibi Govinda, he was traveling with me. In the morning, he'd get up and go out and break the ice and take bath in the freezing ice cold water. And we went on Sankirtan in downtown Winnipeg at Porter Avenue. It was freezing. We just had those polyester dhotis on. We didn't even know how to dress. We were like freeze to death. But there was an ecstasy in it. There was enough bliss in it because there was austerity there. An effort to please Śrīla Prabhupada, to get out and distribute Prabhupada's books, to chant on the street despite all difficulties, and in this way gain the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. That's how you make advancement. By sacrifice, by tapasya, not by sitting in a house. And like you say, Yashoda, the Somosi Lasa Sampradaya. It's not about that, everyone. This is a war against Maya, and we encourage everyone to become part of it with us, because we are at war with Maya. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Yaśodā-nandana, if you could continue, please.
Very interesting points that are being raised here. I want to read from a purport given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is from Madhya Lila, chapter 18, text 99. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 18, text 99. The verse reads, at that time, Balabhadra Bhattacharya placed a request at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, please give me permission to go see Lord Krishna directly. Purport. The puzzled people who visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were actually seeing Lord Krishna, but they were mistaken in thinking that Lord Krishna had come to Kaliyala Lake. They all said that they had seen Krishna directly performing his pastimes on the hood of the serpent Kaliya, and that the jewels on Kaliya's hoods were blazing brilliantly. Because they were speculating with their imperfect knowledge, they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary being and a boatman's light in the lake as Krishna. One must see things as they are through the mercy of a spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, one may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna or Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict of Vedic literature presented by the self-realized spiritual master. A sincere person is able to see Krishna through the transparent via medium of Sri Guru Deva, the spiritual master. Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. This incident at Kaliyadaha is very instructive for those eager to advance in Krishna consciousness. So this relates to a certain class of people in our movement who think that they really know Prabhupada's instruction because they remain constantly with Prabhupada, because they had a lot of physical association with Prabhupada. No, that is not the correct understanding. Anyone can associate with Prabhupada. All we have to do is submissively hear his message and read his books carefully. Hare Krishna. Hare
Well,
Krishna.
that's true. And this principle of Guru Tattva, you know, Prabhus, we bring up these philosophical points, not ourselves, but we're simply reading what Prabhupada is constantly instructing us on, this principle of association with a bona fide spiritual master. And bona fide means does not change anything. That Prabhupada was being glorified. Oh, you've created miracles. Prabhupada said, I do not know a miracle. If there's any miracle, I have not changed anything. But if this change disease enters the ISKCON movement, it will ruin it. And it did. It has. Some people would say, well, we're in ISKCON, we're serving prasadam. Yeah, well, what kind of prasadam are you serving? Who knows? Who's your guru? Is he bona fide or did he fall down yesterday? Did he have some kind of incident? Tragic incident, by the way. We're not celebrating that someone fell down. We've all fallen down. Yes, but you pick yourself up and you rectify yourself. You become fixed in taking association of bona fide disciples and then following the process as it's being instructed by them to you without any change. That's called Diksha. That's called Siksha Guru, not Diksha Guru. Siksha Guru, someone who doesn't change the philosophy for personal self-aggrandizement. He doesn't change it for money. Not it, you know, Dharma Bhavana, and you know this, and so do you, Krishna Katha. The fact of the matter is, the guru business means dakshin. Prabhupada's saying here, 50% used in the service of the Lord. Guess what they do? They take that philosophy and say, give me your 50%, I'll engage it for you. And that's what they do. And they amass huge fortunes. Huge amounts of money stockpiled in private bank accounts. And people may watch this show and say, well, that's very critical of what you're saying. Well, prove that it's not true. Romapad. I speak to a devotee in Chicago. Firsthand, he tells me, Romapad, he's got millions of dollars lending it out to people on interest rates, and he's supposed to be a sannyasi. They actually kicked him out of the GBC. He was so bad. He was giving such a bad reputation. He's still floating around with millions of dollars, certainly not Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, living under a different tree. I'm just reading Nectar of Devotion. It's amazing how that, And by the way, we'll move to our discussion. I do recommend you read The Nectar of Devotion, especially the introduction and the preface. Very sublime. Prabhupada, when he wrote that, it was in the 1970, he was doing the translation. The explanation in the beginning of the book on the details of the pandemonium of hell of the modern man is so perfectly described in this introduction. Please read it. Please see the chaos that exists, not only in our own minds by due to bad association, but in the minds of the conditioned souls who are completely lost. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Maybe you could further the discussion. His finger is covering the screen. Thumb screen. Dharma Bhavana, the microphone, please. Not on. Move your hand away from the camera.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I wanted to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 7, text 72. But I had a question. One of my friends, a devotee, was going to India to put
Hold
his
on.
father.
Just try to get close to the microphone, Prabhu, please, because this is a broadcast. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. One of my friends, he has his father passed away, and we're taking his ashes to the river Jamuna in Vrindavan.
Mm-hmm.
But I just spoke to a new acquaintance, Krishna Balaram Swami, this morning, and he said, you don't take their ashes to the river Jamuna, you only take it to the river Ganges. So if anybody could comment on that afterwards. Let me read from Chaitanya Charitamrita now.
I just wanted to ask you a question. Who is Krishna Balaram Swami? Is he a so-called sannyasi?
He's born in Vrindavan, yeah. Yes,
Okay, so he's some sort of sannyasi guy.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Text 72. You're a fool, he said. You are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must always chant the holy name of Krishna. This is the essence of all mantras or Vedic hymns. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj comments in this connection. One can become perfectly successful in the mission of his life if he acts exactly according to the words he hears from the mouth of his spiritual master. This acceptance of the words of the spiritual master is called Shrota Vakya, which indicates that the disciple must carry out the spiritual master's instructions without deviation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection, the disciple must accept the words of his spiritual master as his life and soul. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here confirms this by saying that since his spiritual master ordered him only to chant the holy name of Krishna, he always chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra according to this direction. Krishna Mantra Japa Sada Mantra Sara. That's all. Thank you. Haribol.
Yes, well, once again, statements to confirm the importance of Guru Tattva as a means for making advancement. And the bona fide spiritual master is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Panchagoda in Ukraine. Could you share some of your realizations? Can you turn your mic? Can you turn his microphone on, please? Rupesh Prabhu. I see we've got to unmute him. Unmute him. Let's see if I can do it. No? Okay. There he is, unmuted. Panchagoda in Ukraine. Can you hear me? Okay. I guess he's having trouble. Maybe a bomb went off. Yaśodā-nandana, maybe you could wind up with a few closing comments before we move to the end of the class.
Well, very enlivening discussion and statements from everybody. And I think that we will keep dealing with this issue of what is considered bona fide association. What does that mean to be in ISKCON and out of ISKCON, to be following the spiritual master or deviating from the spiritual master? Because there seems to be some persistent misunderstanding about Śrīla Prabhupāda's instruction in this regard. As we've seen from Prabhupada's own statements with regard to his Guru Maharaj, Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and his relationship with him, and the statements that he made in the late 1950s in his poetry regarding the deviation of the Gaudiya Math, how they had departed and deviated from the instructions of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta, we see a very similar pattern occurring in the original ISKCON society. Now, again, we don't take pleasure in criticizing here. This is not a criticizing festival. This is meant to deepen our understanding of what is the KCON, Krishna Consciousness, the IS, the International Society, as a specific purpose. And the whole idea of studying and discussing philosophy is to properly understand what is Krishna consciousness. Just like we've repeatedly said, Prabhupada wanted the kirtans in his society to be conducted in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was very patient, he was very liberal and very kind, but he insisted none of this Ramo chanting, none of this Sahajya nonsense, not inventing new mantras that nobody can find out where they're from. Prabhupada wanted kirtan in a specific way that he gave. And it's up to us to understand his instructions and apply those instructions. So we can proceed. I don't know exactly if you want to keep
Well,
discussing.
what we'll do is, Yaśoda, I see that Panchagoda Prabhu, his mic has been unlocked.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead,
here we
Prabhu.
go.
It's I just
Yeah, now
wanted
it's
to
working.
explain. We have a mute system on everyone, just to block any extra sound while the program is going on. So we apologize. It's just a technological administrative difficulty. Go ahead, Panchagoda.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Very nice program today. Unfortunately, my camera still is not working. Maybe I need to buy a new one. So this question about that was raised about communicating with God brothers of Śrīla Prabhupada and with all these other groups is very important. And here we see so many difficulties, and this cult, they captured attention of fanatical people and people who are weak. They are afraid to live alone, to stay by themselves, because they do not see the alternative, you know. When yesterday it was a big program on the Govardhan Puja, everyone just went to that ISKCON temple, and I haven't been there, but wife of my god brother, she, like a woman, she went there to check out the news, and she saw like hundreds and hundreds of devotees that just go there, like to the place to meet each other, you know, and they do not respect the system that is happening. Most of people are wise, they're like intelligent. They understand what's happening. They understand that this mafia, they captured and what's happening, what's next. They are banning books. They're banning books distribution. So my point of view is that we just have to continue, maybe in some future time, to build the alternative temple here. Of course, not in these war conditions, but maybe in some future time. So that's just some news. Thank you.
Yes. Well, the thing is this, and a lot of groups evolve this way, especially we see in the Christian world, that a lot of people go to church as a social event. They don't go to the church for spiritual enlightenment. They go to the church to show off their new hat or their new dress or their new suit, like that. And they put donations in the tray. If you're a Catholic, I was raised as a Roman Catholic, you put your donation in, but you hold the money up. Oh, here's 100. So you get recognition for that. So like that, that movement, which has philosophically lost its focus on Guru Tattva due to multiple reasons. And if you come to our classes, you can study them. You can hear about them over and over again. We have over 400 classes online. And we're going to be expanding, by the way, so look forward to that. But this is the situation. It's become more of a social event. And, you know, everybody likes a free lunch. Even if it's not prasadam, it still might be good. You think, oh, I'm not paying, so I'll go. So this is the situation. Yes, Prabhu Panchagoda, I see you put your hand back up. Go ahead. We'll finish up. Can you speak? Rupesh, can you unlock his microphone?
Yeah, Haribol. Yeah, this is like very nice point, and that we can get together here in this worldwide community. But locally, it's very important to get this stable idea of minds of people, because otherwise all devotees, they stay by their homes and they create this tamagun, you know, they do not go further in their spiritual practice. And we have a very beautiful example somewhere in Caucasian mountains in Russia. There are few ashrams with very strong sadhu devotees, and they spent yesterday's Gavatam Puja. They live like a community there, farm community. And they had about 50 beautiful prepared dishes for Krishna. Such a beautiful program was running. And the idea was that a sadhu is in the center. Sadhu who understands Krishna through Śrīla Prabhupāda directly, not these bogus gurus. So that's an idea that we are social beings. And maybe in some ending of life, when you're like, but when you're a family person or a young person, you need to go somewhere to get social. Many devotees are asking me and my senior brother here, where do we go? We don't want to spend time with karmis. We don't want to go in the bogus church named ISKCON, like fake ISKCON, you know? So please give us something. So they don't want to work themselves to get Krishna, to get Prabhupada, but they want to go somewhere. So that's the system.
Okay, so the point is this. Tell them to come to the class. It's 6 hours a week. That's a lot. That is a lot. If they listen, they can learn. It's by hearing and association. This is a good use of technology. And number two, Prabhu, you don't need a lot of people to come over and socialize. But if you have a few good people come over, I constantly have people visit me, and we have chanting in the kitchen. We chant, and we dance a bit, and then I cook prasadam for them. We socialize on some spiritual topics, and in this way, they feel some kind of happiness in association with devotees. So if you can get a bigger place to invite people over, go ahead. I know Yaśodā used to come to my house. I ran a Sunday feast program for about 10 years. Remember Yaśodā? You came over. I think you spoke. This was back in the 80s or 90s. We weren't going to the temple. We made our own programs. We chanted. We gave prasadam. We spoke on the philosophy. We did what we could. And now we're doing more. We're going to keep going. So please promote our programs to other people. We would love more God brothers and God sisters that had experience with Prabhupada to come and speak, but they don't. Why? Well, for whatever reason that they have, that's their right. But it just shows very few people are really serious about associating with people that are following the disciplic succession without change. And this is going on. And we hope to change it by our constant efforts together as a team to spread this correct understanding of the philosophy to others. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. So we're going to move forward now with the chanting of Hare Krishna led by Śrīla Prabhupāda. It's only 2.5 minutes. So if you can take 2.5 minutes to stay on board and chant along, I think it'll add a lot to your day and to your week. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. All glories to the Sankirtan mission.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Again, thanks everybody for participating in this lively reading and discussion especially our good friends all over the United States and India. Thanks Bhakti Rupesh Prabhu in Bombay, India, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and our good friend Krishna Kata in San Diego with a wonderful display of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Rochisa Mataji in Montreal, Canada, Triloka Vijay in Florida, Joe Felici in Hamilton, Ontario, and everybody who participated. We look forward to see you on Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 8 o'clock p.m. Florida time and Hamilton, Ontario time. Again, thanks everybody for participating and taking shelter of Śrīla Prabhupada and his transcendental mission. Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,